Hey guys, this is Valerie with Art a la carte. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to draw a dog head. I'm going to be using one of the top breeds that has been requested in the last few videos, which is a Siberian Husky. For this drawing tutorial, I'm going to be using some drawing paper and a couple of different pencils. I'll be using a lighter lead, so for my sketching I'll be using a 3B, and then to get in the really dark parts of the fur, I'm going to be using a 6B, along with just a regular eraser and pencil sharpener. So I recommend that if you haven't drawn a lot of dog heads before, that you use some really good reference photos. Once you have a photo that you really like, go ahead and begin to block it in using the shapes. So the reference photo I'm going to be using has a dog kind of looking at a 3/4 angle. So I'm going to start off with this large circle for the head, and then I'm actually going to bring it down for the chest and shoulders area. Now again, very important when you're doing this part, not to push hard. Don't be digging that pencil into the paper, because you're going to be wanting to erase a lot of these lines later on. If you really push really hard into the paper, it's going to be hard to do that. The next step is I'm going to find the end of my nose. So this is a great way to begin to learn to do foreshortening, is when you have your main object and you want to have something coming out towards it, whether it's an arm or in this case a nose, find the end of whatever that is, and I'm going to draw that. And you really want to look at your reference photo to see if it's overlapping your additional shape. Then I'm going to run the bridge of the nose back and up between, like if this was the center of the face, so the dog's looking off in this kind of a direction here. And then I'm going to bring it down towards the bottom of the snout and the underlip. And this is the point where you're just blocking things in. You're not going in for detail. I'll pull in these, the kind of the side of the head, on up, and I'm going to go ahead and just block in my ears. And so they're really high pointed triangles right at the very top. And you'll see this one is going to be larger than this one because I want this one to appear slightly closer. So because it's closer to us, it's going to be slightly larger in size, and as this one is a little bit farther back, it's going to be a little bit smaller in size. And the last kind of thing I want to block in is where the eye is going to be, and I'm just going to block those in with some circles. So now it comes the part where I'm not looking just for the overall shape and positioning of different features of the animal. I'm going to begin looking for specific details, not getting into the super detail like drawing in the fur, but you know, skull shape and all that kind of stuff. So if you need to, go ahead and take an eraser and erase these inside guidelines that you don't need anymore. Alright, so then going with my reference photo, I'm just going to begin to really define the individual features. I usually enjoy starting with the eyes because I think the eyes hold so much personality and life in my drawing that if I can get the eyes drawn in first, it kind of keeps me going for the rest of the drawing. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to his nose, and the nose is kind of a block shape, a 3D block shape. So you want to kind of wrap that around. This is the part where if you start seeing some mistakes that you want to begin to fix it. So I'm seeing that my nose is kind of more of a Roman nose, where it comes up instead of dishing down. And as I look at my reference photos, I see that their nose is very dished. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to erase that line and dish that down a little bit. Shrink my nose just a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull in some more fur. He's going to thicken him up just a little bit here. So it's really easy to get frustrated as things aren't working really well. And this is where I just encourage you to push through, look at your reference photos, look at your pictures, see what kind of is acting differently. A lot of artists, when they teach tutorials, don't like to share when they make a mistake. I don't mind, because I want you guys to know that drawing any kind of picture is a process of making mistakes, erasing, and rebuilding. So as I'm looking at this, I don't like how shallow my forehead is. I'm building him up to be a little bit more like a German Shepherd. So if you want a German Shepherd tutorial, up to this point, very German Shepherdy. But he has a higher forehead. So I'm going to have to raise this up, which means I'm going to have to raise a lot of these features up, which means, haha, I get to erase. So let's do that. So you can see why I say don't push hard. I haven't been pushing totally hard, and you can still kind of see some of my features in here. I know I'll be able to blend a lot of those out as I begin to add shadowing or shading, but just as a good reminder to not push super hard. So I want his forehead to be about up to here. See, it was here, but I want it to be up here now. And I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to go ahead and wrap that dish forehead up and around. And I'm only going to raise his eyes just slightly higher than what they were. So as you can see, this is a work in progress. I haven't drawn a lot of Huskies before, and I wanted to kind of show you this process. Usually before I start teaching a tutorial, I draw the subject that I'm going to work with several times, and I've only drawn this subject just a few times because this is part of the process. I don't want to fool you guys into thinking that everything I draw just automatically turns out, because that's how you see it. When I record it, you see the really edited version. You don't see the hours of preparing for a video, practicing, failing, and learning from my failed attempts. You just see kind of, otherwise you'd be watching a lot of really boring videos. But I wanted to show you this process and how it works so that you'll be encouraged, so that when you make a mistake or find a part where you're like, oh, I can't get past this and it doesn't look right and I don't know why, that you can see how other artists work through it and how it takes a lot of erasing and retrying and practicing again to really begin to get this skill down. It can be something as small as the tiniest line being off. This line was down here a little bit, and I moved it just mere ½ centimeters up, and it changes something. So don't give up. Once you have your drawing set up the way you want it and everything is in the right location, now it's time to begin adding your shading, your shadowing, and your fur pattern. So I'm going to outline my fur pattern really lightly with my pencil. And of course on each dog it varies a little bit, but generally this is the way the Huskies go. They usually have a black strip that kind of comes down their nose to a little bit of a point, and then up around over their eye bridge, and then follows kind of their eye around and swoops around their face. And sometimes it'll have a point, a white, blaze kind of coming up the center. And wrapping that around. The outside of the ear is very black, while the inside of the ear is very white. So once you have it kind of sketched out where you want your patterns, now it's time to begin adding in your layering of coloring for your shading, shadowing, and for pattern. Go slow, take your time with it, and be as detailed as you want with it. Remember, the more time you spend on this part, the better your picture is going to look. So you can see by this point I have my fur pattern all colored in, and you can really begin to tell now it's a Husky. At this point it's looking very illustrated, kind of cartoony, and you can leave it at this point if this is what you like. If you want to push forward and begin to do a lot of blending and hair patterning, you can get a really cool looking dog. So I'm going to go ahead and keep on going and see how I can transform this dog from a kind of a cartoony version into a more realistic version. Some tips on how I changed the cartoon looking husky into a realistic husky is first I went and looked for some of the shading details, and that's really just a blend to get rid of those harsh lines between the pattern of the fur, to blend that out. You'll also see that I used a blending stick, which helps take the kind of the bluntness of the lead from the pencil and use it to smooth it out. And you can also take some of the excess lead that is on the blending pencil to kind of smudge some white area. So you're not getting a super dark lead smudge, you're getting just a really faint smudge. Also going back and adding just the hint of fur lines, just using the tiny little bit of pencil strikes to make fur. Adds a whole bunch to it. You'll also notice at one point I erased the line on the bridge of the nose. When you outline something with pencil, it automatically cartoonifies it. By taking away some of those lines, when you look at real things that don't really have a line around them, it's the contrast between light and dark. And this dog has a white nose and the background is white. So there's not going to be a really harsh line. There might be a bit of a shadow, which is what I added. But the eye fills in the rest. Also looking for those subtle details, like the very small marks on the muzzle where the whiskers would be, and adding those in. And adding them in a way so that they don't totally obvious, keeping them subtle as well. Just all these things build together to make a really nice picture. And of course, time, lots of practice, and not giving up. The last thing I did was add a little bit of blue in the eyes, which adds a little bit of spark of interest to this picture because it is based on a lead drawing. So that's just the values of that pencil on the paper. Adding just a little hint of color really will draw the viewer's attention to this picture. When you draw, do you enjoy drawing more in cartoon style, or do you like to try to finish it out and make it look try to go for the more realistic look? So leave that in the comment box below. I'd love to kind of hear what you guys think about that. So if this is your first time watching these videos, well, thank you so much for watching my video, and please check out some of the other videos. I have some suggested videos on the side here, and of course you can always hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.